Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Detroit Lions franchise here on Madden 22, featuring that PS5, of course. We are officially about halfway through the season as of right now, so since we are at our rather well-timed bye week, this is actually, to me, is like a pretty ideal bye week for us. We'll go ahead, take a look around the league, take a look at, how the standings are shaking out so far, as well as take a look at our stats, all that kind of stuff. Probably won't be that long of an episode, but it should still be a good one, so make sure you smash that like button for me, as well as hit that subscribe button for me as well. If you do happen to be brand new, it doesn't cost a thing, and bro, you can always unsubscribe if you're not feeling me later, but it does help me grow the channel, grow this community that we got going on here, man. So, with that being said, this is what we got going on right now, showing us a little bit of some Draft Central stuff and kind of needs that we need, Offensive line, I'm feeling pretty good about. We've been doing a good job of controlling the trenches overall, but we definitely do need a wide receiver. There's a few wide receivers that could be available in the first round between Jared Dixon, Jerome Crocker, Leon Battle. On the defensive line, also some good guys, Enrique Hayes, Brett McCollin, Jordan Gant, all of which are top 20 guys. But the good thing about our situation right now, since we are a rebuilding team, is we have almost $67 million of cap space to work with. So if for some reason we don't necessarily address it that well, through the NFL draft, we can always go into free agency and get some younger veterans that can come in and be impact guys for us right away. But that being said, we do have a message here for the bye week, how we want to try to handle things. And I'm kind of a little bit on the fence here, because we are a really young team. I think it would really help us, to have some extra preparation. But at the same time, though, we're playing the Steelers. And if I'm not mistaken, the Steelers, at least, I don't think are going to be that much of a threat to us. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give these guys some rest and relaxation. Because that'll at least give them, a little bit of injury avoidance and gives everybody a +7 morale boost. That'll help with, overall and all that kind of stuff. We won't have extra prep necessarily, but we will at least, see some guys, see a bump in overall, just because players are in a happier state. But now let's go ahead and check around the NFL just to see what's going about for us right now. And I think we've shown that we're a scrappy team. We've shown that we can be competitive, but I don't think we're ready to go ahead and compete for a playoff spot just yet. I am actually really surprised, though, how bad the Chicago Bears have been thus far. 1-7 to start the season. They're on the fast track to get the #1 overall pick. They're currently slated as the, to get the 2nd overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft. There is also the Green Bay Packers. They have a lead on the division right now. They're 6-2. And then the Minnesota Vikings, they're also doing pretty solid, 5-2, just a half game behind the Packers. But another team that I want to highlight here, and it's really important because we have their first round pick, is the LA Rams. Now, LA has not really found their rhythm yet in this season, and it's shown in their record. 2-6. They have been a massive disappointment. They're slated to get the 3rd overall pick. So if we play this right, we might have 2 top 10 picks to play with in the NFL draft. We could use that to get some good players, or we can use that to get some more draft capital. It gives us a ton of options to work with. Just another way for us to go ahead and shore up some more weaknesses in our team. The Arizona Cardinals are also tied for last in this division. They're also 2-6. The 49ers are leading. They're 5-2. We got crushed by them earlier this year. And then Seattle's doing okay. They're 4-4. Checking up on the NFC South, and it's been a pretty tight battle so far. Nobody has really pulled away just yet. The New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons are currently tied at 4-3. And the Panthers and Buccaneers are tied for 3rd place in the division right now at 4-4 at this halfway point in the season. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys have been electric in this franchise so far. 7-0 so far. They have not lost a single game just yet. They currently have the best record in the entire NFL as of right now. They're on that fast track to get the sole bye out of the NFC. And they definitely separated themselves from the Washington football team and the New York Giants, who are also 4-4. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, who we took a bad L to last week. They are still 2-6, so they're quite behind everybody else in this division. But you know, they beat us, so we don't really have much room to talk here. At the same time, meanwhile, in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns are currently ahead right now. They're 5-3 thus far on the season. They are leading this division by a half game. As the Baltimore Ravens, they are also trying to tail these Cleveland Browns squad, half game behind. The Cincinnati Bengals have shown improvement. They're currently 3-5. They'll exceed their win record, I imagine, from last season, unless they have a major collapse in the second half of the year, just lose the next 9 games. But, you know, they're showing improvement. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers showing that the Super Bowl window that they had is now officially closed. At least for right now, they're 2-5. Most likely not necessarily going to the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what happens to them if they move on from Big Ben after this season here in this Madden franchise. Over in the AFC South right now, we have the Tennessee Titans, who have been absolutely killing the game. They're 7-1 right now, and they have a commanding lead in the division. The Jacksonville Jaguars, though, have been really surprising. After finishing 1-15 last season, Urban Meyer looking like he might be the coach of the year moving forward in this franchise. They're 4-3 right now. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts have disappointed at 2-6. And then I don't think there's really much surprises here. Houston Texans are 1-7 right now. And I think this is even with Deshaun Watson playing. That's the sad part. You know, free my man Deshaun. Let him go to an actual contender who needs a quarterback. Up next, we have the AFC East, where the Buffalo Bills, and listen, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills right now. 6-1 right now, currently leading the division. But the New England Patriots, I don't know if they're starting Mac Jones or Cam Newton at this point in this franchise, but they're doing pretty good this season, 6-2, showing that the free agent acquisitions are certainly helping. The New York Jets are also showing improvement at 3-4, and then the Miami Dolphins taking a major step back right now. They're 2-6 right now in the AFC East. It's not a good look for Miami. Last place after, you know, almost making the playoffs last season. Definitely a step back for them. And then the last division I want to talk about, which is a little bit surprising to me, is this AFC West. The Las Vegas Raiders are currently ahead in the division right now. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't bad. A little disappointing, 5-3. You know, this is a team that did go to the Super Bowl last season. Got their asses kicked by Tampa Bay, but they were still there in the Super Bowl. That is still an achievement. Denver is kind of just swimming in mediocrity right now. They're 4-4 right now. And then Justin Herbert just can't take that next step next. I'm sure he has a bright future in the NFL. No surprises there. But 2-5 right now. Currently sitting in last place of the AFC West. But then we go and take a look at the stats for our guys at least halfway through the season, since we are basically at the halfway point. And let me first start by talking about Jared Goff. He was somebody that we got from LA, and right now it hasn't really been that great, to be honest with you, man. 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, does have a 61% completion percentage and 1,600 yards passing. It's not that great, man. I do want to point out that half of those interceptions did come in the first game. We were a little bit more gunslingery, and we were getting used to Madden, you know. But still, you know, even taking that game out, like, we're talking about 6 interceptions and 6 touchdowns. Like, just removing the first games. It's just not ideal, right? He has played 422 snaps, and yeah, it just hasn't been a great look for us, you know, over the course of this season, I would say, passing the football. But I think we do have a star in the making here, guys. Deandre Swift has been fantastic for us. He's been the centerpiece of our offense. 121 carries, 568 yards, 7 touchdowns as well. haven't gotten really many runs over 20 yards, but Deandre Swift has really looked pretty good in our offense overall. Jamal Williams hasn't been that bad either as the backup. 58 carries, 241 yards, and 3 touchdowns here. And no fumbles either. That's something that I do also like. No fumbles between Jamal Williams and Deandre Swift. Jared Goff, on the other hand, not only does he have those 12 interceptions, he also has 5 fumbles right now, and some of those fumbles have come in the red zone, and that's cost us points, and that's at least cost us a game or two. We could be 4-4 or like 5-3 right now, but that just hasn't happened yet. Now, no necessarily surprises here. We don't pass the ball that much because we are more of a run-heavy squad. But Tyrell Williams has looked pretty impressive overall. 39 catches, 528 yards, and 3 touchdowns. All of those do lead, all Detroit wide receivers, in that wide receiver and tight end room as well. Quinton Chavez, in second place, 249 yards receiving in a tub. Brashard Perriman, 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Our backup tight end, Charlie Tremopu from Portland State. He has multiple touchdown grabs, 15 catches for 202 yards. TJ Hawkinson's had a little bit rough. 19 catches, 211 yards, and a touchdown. Now, this is somebody that has been hurt. He has been banged up so far this season, but, we haven't really been able to utilize TJ Hawkinson that much. That is something that I want to work on, try to get him more involved in this offense going forward, because he is our best skill player, from an overall perspective, but I don't know if GameScript will allow us to do that, just because we're not very good at passing the football at the end of the day. So it is what it is. Jamal Williams does also have a touchdown, receiving. He has 4 catches for 46 yards. As for our defense, just taking a quick rundown at how our defense is doing so far. And our top tackler, if your top tackler is a defensive back, that's usually not a great sign. And that's part of the reason why we're 3-5. We have been gashed quite a bit, particularly at the end of the half, as well as in the fourth quarter sometimes. That's something I do definitely want to work on. But Tracy Walker currently leads us with 56 total tackles and a TFL. Has not forced any turnovers here just yet. In second place, though, we do have Jamie Collins. He does have 54 tackles, 7 TFLs, and he even has a sack. But also, same thing for him. He has not forced any turnovers himself. No forced fumbles, no interceptions, nothing like that. Speaking of sacking a quarterback, though, and that's something that we have really struggled with here, I think, at least here in Detroit. We have not done a great job of getting to his quarterback. Our leading sack getter right now is Michael Brockers and Julian Akora, but they both only have 2.5 sacks right now. We need a little bit more production from our defensive line. Trey Flowers is trying to help. He has a couple of sacks. Aleem McNeil, he's a rookie from NC State. He has a sack and a half. Jamie Collins has a sack. Romeo Okura has a sack. Deshaun Hand has half a sack, but I think that's something I do want to go ahead and try and address in the offseason. Getting some better pass rushers up in here, man, because we are struggling with the idea of getting to this quarterback. And then finally, talking about turnovers, Will Harris and Amari Okwurie, the late round pick from Penn State in his third season in the NFL. They both have multiple interceptions, and then Michael Brockers and Godwin Agupe both have interceptions as well. Let's do a quick check to see if we force any fumbles, and we do not. We do not have any forced fumbles, but we do have 2 defensive touchdowns. Amani Owuye and Michael Brockers both have pick 6 to their names. Michael Brockers, I know, came in the game against the LA Rams. Or no, actually the Chicago Bears. His was against the LA Rams, playing up against Matt Stafford for the first time since we traded him over there in the first place. But how do our guys stack up compared to the rest of the NFL? Well, we'll start with the passers here real quick. Patrick Mahomes is leading the NFL with 2,071 passing yards, with Joe Burrow actually not being too far behind. Colin Kaepernick, who we just played in our previous episode, he's actually in the top 10 as well with 1,776 passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, I believe, is also leading the NFL in passing touchdowns. He has 22 passing touchdowns. Dak Prescott is in second place with 19 touchdowns, but no interceptions, though. He has done a really good job of protecting the football. Same thing with Jimmy G. We are leading the NFL. Jared Goff is leading the NFL right now with interceptions. Not much of a surprise. Tom Brady is surprisingly up here too. His 22nd season in the NFL right now. He has 10 interceptions. Justin Fields in his rookie campaign also up here. And then Daniel Jones, his third season in the NFL. Hasn't really shown all that much. 12 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 1,355 yards. It's you know, but it is what it is. As for the running backs, Derrick Henry currently leads the NFL right now. And look at this. Keep in mind, guys, we are only halfway through the season right now. But Derrick Henry has 978 yards on the ground, with Nick Chubb in a distant second place right now, the fourth-year pro out of Georgia. And then there's also CMC, 735 yards and 7 tubs. Speaking of those tubs, though, Joe Mixon and Chris Carson are tied at the top right now with 10 touchdowns apiece. Alvin Kamara is in second place with 611 yards and 9 touchdowns. Jared Goff, unsurprisingly, also leading the NFL in fumbles. He's been a turnover machine, man. So it's going to give us a hard thought about whether, you know, maybe he should be the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. That's something we will watch out for in the second half of the season. If he can clean it up and we can be respectful, then maybe he can stay around. Otherwise, maybe it might be wise for us to use one of our draft picks next season in order to go ahead and draft a quarterback. Dalvin Cook and Ronald Jones II both do have multiple fumbles as well. As for the receivers, we got a pair of Buccaneers here at the top in terms of number of catches. Mike Evans has the most catches in the NFL right now with 55, but Gronk is right behind him in his 11th NFL season with 54 right now. Tyler Boyd, though, is currently leading the NFL in most receiving yards. He has 584 yards. But look at this. Tyrell Williams is in second place. Way to show out for the Detroit Lions, baby. 528 yards. That's second best in the NFL. Right in between Antonio Brown, who's a pretty good wide receiver, if I say so myself, in company with George Kittle and Michael Thomas as well, v Ohio State. As for receiving touchdowns, we have a three-way tie at the top right now. Zach Pascal, the fifth-year player from Old Dominion, has 7. Golden Tate III from Notre Dame has 7. And then Demarcus Robinson, the 6-year pro from Florida, also has 7 touchdowns to his name. And then followed by a bunch of guys here that also have 6. CMC is a running back. He's got 6 touchdowns. That's pretty cool. Then taking a look at the defensive stats here real quick. Zach Cunningham right now with 78 total tackles. That does lead the NFL, with Bobby Wagner in second with 72 total tackles between solo and assisted tackles. In terms of TFL, Shaq Lawson, the 6-year pro out of Clemson, currently leads the group with 14, followed by Dalvin Tomlinson, who the 5th-year pro from Alabama, has 13 TFLs. And then there's Fletcher Koch as well, the 10th-year pro from Mississippi State with 12 TFLs. Meanwhile, Myles Garrett has been on an absolute tear, just going about harassing NFL quarterbacks around the NFL. I feel bad for the AFC North in this franchise mode, man. Myles Garrett right now has 12 total sacks in this game right now. We're only halfway through the season. Von Miller is in second, but that's a whole 4-sack difference. I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett has more sacks all by himself than we do actual, sacks as a team. That's the sad part. And then there's Justin Houston and Aaron Donald tied for 3rd place. Meanwhile, for interceptions, there's actually quite a few guys tied here. You know, the most that anybody has here is 3 interceptions. That's between Demario Davis, Drake Greenwall, Darius Leonard, Jalen Ramsey's up here as well. And then Rashad O'Corin, the 4th-year pro from Yale here, surprisingly has 3 interceptions. So, Tim Walker and I believe Amari Okuye, both are in shouting distance here. And then in terms of forced fumbles, there is actually only one player in the NFL right now that has more than one forced fumble at this point of the season, and that's Miles Jack. The 6-year pro from UCLA has 2 forced fumbles here. He has 53 total tackles, 2 TFLs, and can't forget about that half sack. But I do think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, as next episode we will go on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who did win their game, to be fair. So they're up to 3-5. So this will be a battle of 3-5 teams. If you're excited for the next episode, man, as well as enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and please smash that like button for me. Hit me up down in the comments as well. And if you happen to be brand new, you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. It's free. You don't have to pay anything, and you can always unsubscribe later if you're not feeling me, then. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, y'all.